Why is sex so painful for some of us women? Let's talk about it. So full disclosure and transparency, mamas, for years, I struggled tremendously in this area. Sex was so uncomfortable and not even uncomfortable. That is an understatement of a word. It just hurt. It hurt. And to make matters worse, and maybe you can relate to this, I felt so embarrassed, so ashamed, so guilty too at the same time somehow. I didn't even tell my partner. Some nights, mamas, I would literally be crying in silence with my head turned, just waiting for it to be over. And I know that might sound crazy to some of you, or maybe that's landing and resonating with some of you. Let me know in the comments. Have you experienced pain, discomfort during sex? And what did you do? How did you handle it? I know for me, at that time in my life and where I was, I just bottled it all up. And mamas, that didn't help. Of course, it simply made matters worse, but I didn't really know what to do or where to turn. Now, there's lots of reasons why sex might be painful for you. All right, there's a lot of things that could be contributing to that. The one thing that I want to talk about today is pelvic floor dysfunction. And pelvic floor dysfunction could be used as sort of an umbrella term or word to mean any issues of concern that's going on with your pelvic floor. That could be incontinence, pelvic floor leaking or leaking pee. That could be pelvic organ prolapse, where the organs themselves of the pelvis actually start to descend down into their own cavities or to bulge into one another. For example, you could have a bladder or rectal prolapse that's really affecting your pelvic floor. And that can cause pain, that can cause tightness, and it can definitely lead to pain during sex. If you're experiencing painful sex, mamas, I just want you to know you are not alone. It's actually super common. But I also want you to know that there's no reason at all to suffer in silence, to feel ashamed or embarrassed or guilty. I encourage you to speak up and speak out. Now, trying to speak to your regular care provider or doctor might not be the best route for you, but it's possible. Maybe you have a really good care provider who can really give you some guidance and assistance. My suggestion would be, if it is within reach for you financially, physically, emotionally, I would suggest reaching out to a really good pelvic floor physical therapist. And if you've never heard of a pelvic floor physical therapist, I actually did a video about what it is and what you can expect from pelvic floor physical therapy. So you can click on the card and check that out. This is something that many mothers specifically do struggle with. And oftentimes we just think, oh, things have just changed down there after having a baby, so this is it. Kind of like how we're told if we're leaking pee, oh, that's just something you have to deal with. It's part of being a mother. Mamas, again, that is not true. You do not have to deal with and put up with pelvic pain, discomfort, or pain during sex. If you are having pain during intercourse, your body is letting you know something is wrong. There's something going on in the system. There's something going on with your pelvic floor, and there are some things that absolutely need to be addressed. And mamas, if you go on like I did, kind of silent and just struggling through it, it does not get better. It just doesn't. If you're having painful sex, there's a good chance you've got some pelvic floor dysfunction, and you could benefit greatly from pelvic floor physical therapy. If you need a good resource for finding a pelvic floor physical therapist, I'm going to leave a link right here for a good resource of a directory where you can find a pelvic floor therapist in your area. Sex should not be painful, uncomfortable, or guilt-inducing, or be a shameful act for you. And if it is, and if it's tied to pelvic floor tightness or weakness or pelvic organ prolapse, A really good physical therapist will be able to help you and guide you so you know what steps to take, okay? This is something I've lived with and dealt with personally, and it's also something that I have seen transform and get so much better. All right, mamas? Get the help you need. Get the support you need. If it's not with your regular doctor, talk to a pelvic floor physical therapist. Set up at least an initial consultation so you can have a better understanding of what's going on inside your body, what's going on with your pelvic floor, and how you can address your pelvic floor in really effective ways so sex doesn't have to be painful for you. Mamas, go ahead and click right here and let's keep this conversation and energy and movement going and learn more about core and pelvic floor health.